Hello, welcome to Dynamic Discourse. Our channel is based upon any political issues or topics that we're going to be covering today. We decided to express our opinions and allow another side of the story to be heard. Today's topic will be covering a pretty controversial topic that's maybe needs some new light shine upon it. So, start it off. What do you think of immigration, person two?
Immigration's a tough concept, so let's look at all other developed nations. So let's look at China's immigration plan, Japan's immigration plan. Any other first world country, like if you look at them, they're practically ethno-states.
Of course.
Yeah, and their border laws, immigration laws are incredibly strict. Only in short, very isolated areas like Singapore, stuff like that, do they have somewhat of open immigration, but even then it's high skilled, they vet for things, but even then there's still problems with immigration.
Of course.
But
I mean, at the end of the day, you were taking a chance when letting people into your country. And I wanted your opinion upon uh, Israel and their strict policies when it comes to immigration.
I mean, they have a wall,
Exactly.
and their infrastructure was practically built by the billions of dollars we give them yearly. For really no reason, we get involved in Middle Eastern wars for do their bidding, but they themselves, they're very strict on they're practically an ethno state at this point. It's impossible if you're not Jewish to get into Israel.
Exactly.
And look how well a wall's working for them. They're a tiny country in the Middle East surrounded by enemies, yet they're living a first world life just because of a wall and strict immigration, defense, border patrol, stuff along those lines. So it's immigration definitely can be solved by a wall, though it's not the end goal. Immigration is the first step to stop illegal immigration. At least the very first step necessary is like a large border, something of that matter, because after that it's a matter of hiring border patrol agents, stuff along those lines, upgrading equipment, but the wall is the first step.
Exactly. And it's a privilege to be able to come into a country where you were not born. And at the end of the day, the United States, through its history, has been referred to as one of the greatest countries in the world, if not the greatest. And we have to make sure with immigration, we are allowing the best to come in. For too long, we have allowed
Low skilled.
low skilled workers. And when you think of the minimum wage and when you think of these low skilled workers coming into the United States, the corporations are the ones who are gaining and winning from these circumstances. If you were to actually allow high skilled and leveled workers to come into our country and have those jobs then be filled with a citizen, the corporations would have to be required to raise the wage for such jobs and tasks.
Mhm. And this is the common debate between isolationism, the Krugman HO model type of interpretation, where on one hand you have nationalism, on the other hand, why do you think all the elites are leftists, right? They're all corporation owners. There's a very valid reason as to why they would be leftist and pro immigration, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you raise the skill premium in the United States, you're effectively watering down the lower and middle class. The corporations have much to gain from this, and they don't really care. The reason why they don't care about being leftist and the additional taxes on top of that is that, first off, the skill premium would go higher, so that the profits would be much greater than any taxes they could possibly encounter. And on top of that, let's be real here. Do you think that these companies are paying taxes? Higher ups. Let's be completely real here, right?
Yes,
Amazon hasn't paid a lick in taxes.
No, they have not. And when we talk about walls and the potential of us building one under Trump's presidency, there comes a lot of controversy. However, when you look at even just a slight example, the Vatican, with their own wall, this small little state within the city of Rome has established that they're not about immigration. They will make sure that not anyone can come into their state. But, of course, when we mention us building a wall, Donald Trump's a racist. Anyone is a racist for wanting this wall.
Just a way to shut down speech. And To be honest, there's an end goal to this. There's a reason why it's just Western countries that are, encountering, large waves of immigration. I mean, there's an end goal to this. Like, there's the economic side of it where, the skill premium in these countries will go up. Corporations will profit. They'll be in with the government. They don't have to pay a lick in taxes, basically dissolving the middle class. But that's just the economic side of it. There's also another side of it that sort of lends itself to it. Immigration, even legal immigration, like this may be getting into very controversial territory here, but if you look at Pew Research voting statistics by demographic, pretty much every demographic except for white votes very strongly leftist in practically every election over the last 100 years, and the statistics have not changed much over that time. I'll link the statistics in the bio. You guys can check it out after the video, but um, the sad truth is that we've all seen the statistic of 22 million illegal immigrants in the United States. We all know they're taking government assistance, or a large majority of them.
Yes.
They're voting too. We have very shaky voter ID laws. Practically anyone can vote. Dead people can vote even. But the thing is, we're being drowned out, and a lot of conservatives are just not very aware of this. Sure, they're pro-wall, but a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm colorblind. I don't see color. I'm fine with legal immigration." But this is coming from two minorities that, the facts need to be owned up to, right? They're If we, at this rate, even if we kick out every illegal immigrant, even if we build the wall and we stop legal immigration just with birth rates, minorities will still be the majority, like in the next, 10 to 15 years. But with the way things are going, I mean, Texas flipped blue, basically.
Yes.
It was a 1% difference. I think it was maybe less than 500,000 votes in the entirety of Texas. So strong Republican states are turning blue because of legal immigration, and obviously illegal immigration on top of that. So it's the unfortunate reality of things. And if we to be fair, there's honestly no way to come back from this. There's no diplomatic way to come back from the immigration trends. In 10 to 15 years, there'll likely never be another national Republican candidate who can theoretically win. So it's just the grim reality of things, right? What do you think, Elijah? So, what are your thoughts on this person one?
Well, my thoughts on this, I'll tell you my argument, or what I believe. The chances for a Republican to win the presidency are slim to none, simply because of the reform that has taken place. With a bill that has been passed today allowing felons to vote, I foresee the inevitable, which is, for the first time, Texas being 50-50, a possible swing state. And the chances of a 2020 Trump election are slim to none. Simply because a reform within the criminal justice department, and immigration still being a huge issue in this country, and just knowing statistically the way they vote, historically, minorities, this presidency, these 4 years will probably be Trump's last.
Yeah, I mean, Texas is practically 50-50 at this point, right? What else? I mean, Florida very possibly could go to the Democrats. I honestly expect it because prison reform was passed there specifically, and it already was such a slim race. It was a Republican stronghold not even like 10, 15 years ago. It's how quickly things change. And then obviously on top of that, the prison reform, and immigration and illegal immigration, that's like a compounding effect. And birth rates for Westerners are just not high enough.
No, they are not.
Civilized, let's say specifically white people, the original population of America, their birth rates are dying. I mean, imagine 10, 15 years down the road from here, felons being able to vote, immigration will continue to go, probably at a higher rate. our skill premium will still be going up. Like there's no I don't think there's a possibility a Republican could win after that point. And I don't know, this gets into my criticisms with Trump. He talks a lot about the wall, everything. I mean, valid concern, but like voting ID and not allowing felons to vote, like that's pretty important as well. I feel like that would definitely swing things back in our favor if we had voter ID laws, stuff along those lines. Because let's be completely real, though there might be more minorities on the large scale, they're not as likely to go out and vote, to put in the effort to go out and vote. So we can use that to our advantage, right? We can, if we take, if we get voting ID into the play, have like a streamlined process, something that would make sure that dead people and illegals, can't vote. Like, there's been voting fraud in Florida as well, like in the midterms. Like, it's large scale, and people don't see this as well. Like, the Democrats are using immigration to gain their voters, and on top of that, voting for them.
Yes. And what perfect way to do so? By feeding it through a media outlet where every moment you're being fed a narrative to suit their way. And I actually wanted a person to, your opinion on this caravan and the recent news regarding it. What do you think should have happened, and what do you think will happen in the future regarding immigration and this caravan?
Well, the caravan's a sign of things to come, especially if the wall doesn't get built, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to be honest, the sad reality is that legal immigration is probably a bigger problem. Like, the caravan, all that's terrible. We don't want those people there, right? They're coming from third world countries. They denied asylum in Mexico. But, we're bringing in 1.2 million legal immigrants a year. And how many illegals do we bring in a year? See, that's what I don't like about Trump. Like, he's, like, illegal immigrants are bad, like, don't get me wrong, but, like, who are we getting attacked more by? Right? Who are we bringing in higher numbers, right? It's legal immigrants. This is the truth.
Yes.
So, he's attacking the wrong problem. And that's why I'm like, he's attacking one side of the problem while making it seem like legal immigration is not an issue. Like, he's like, oh, I want legal immigration. Sure, I can see, like, high-skilled workers with an extreme vetting process, but at this point, we don't need more people.
I agree. At this point, we have allowed already too many individuals within this country, and it's at times for us as a country to focus solely on the people that are here. That is why it has been mentioned within some articles of possibly allowing citizenship to those that are already in, but forbidding any others from entering. Which, at that reasoning, sounds pretty good. We need to focus solely on the people and what we have here before we can even think of allowing anyone else to come back in here.
Yeah. And people, I mean, look at the Midwest and stuff, all this Krugman economics, leftists, all this group hive mind think, that depleted the Midwest, why do you think they all turned red? But unfortunately, all this ideology talk, from the establishment Republicans, which I'm starting to think Trump is a part of, it's not solving the actual problem. And America, like the future of America, coming from us, we're both 21 years old. We see it firsthand. Like, on top of all this immigration, everything, everyone our age, like, we're heavily outnumbered. I would argue that 80 to 90% of millennials and Gen Zers would probably vote leftist.
Yes.
And that's simply because college is such a thing, indoctrination, media, everything. And that's just...
It's very easy to manipulate and feed into a brain that is malleable, especially for an individual at 18 to enroll in college after completing what is considered, in my opinion, a joke. High school is a joke. And you're expecting an 18-year-old to go out into a world where they're given, at the end of the day, ultimate freedom with the realization that there's also responsibility that needs to be taken place.
Yeah.
However, when you're at these universities or you're finally independent, you're on your own, that brain of yours is very malleable. You feed into those that are around you when you're on campus. You start to realize, okay, maybe I need to be like everyone else in order to fit in. Your professors, some of their lectures have nothing to do with the topic of the day, but they decide to bring in politics. And what better way to indoctrinate a student who is naive enough to listen to the person that they believe has abundant knowledge stand before them and feed into their mind and their thoughts? And then it compounds as the years go by. Then these individuals look through the media and say, you know what, wow, it seems that everything I've been told so far has been true. And they continue to spread it. That's just unacceptable. What are your opinions on that, person, too?
It's a compounding effect. You'll see things will be attacked on multiple fronts. I mean, indoctrination, immigration, prison reform, all of those things, they're all compounding effects. And it's going to hit America very hard before people even realize. Like, I would say in 10 years, 10 to 15 years, what are your thoughts? What do you see for America's future, and when do you see it?
I The future for America lies within the people that we have within our country. And as of now, as I look at society as a whole, while we have technological advances, our health has, if anything, statistically improved as we are now living longer. I foresee an America that will come to an end. And what I mean by this is, let me pause this for a second.